Well, we go on with part 2 and street play scheme. Street play, if you remember your childhood, did you ever play in the street? Yes. You know, children play, sometimes they're playing cricket, hide and seek and all that. So street play scheme. In England, they had a scheme where they blocked the streets for traffic and they allowed the children to play in the street. That's what they call street play scheme. Question number 11. When did the street play scheme first take place? Very important. First take place. Street play scheme. If they say, I had this idea 10 years ago, but then it took me 5 years to execute this idea, and then we had the first street play scheme that took place. Right? So you just need to see A is 2 years ago, B is 3 years ago, C is 6 years ago. And confusing thing is they will talk about all the things, all the options, right? But in a different way. But what is your focus? Your focus is when did the street play scheme first take place? Ideas came, they got the approval, but when did actually the scheme first take place? That 2 years ago, 3 years ago, or 6 years ago, right? Let's see.
My guest on the show today is Alice Riches, who started the street play scheme where she lives in Beechwood Road. For those of you that don't already know, street play involves local residents closing off their street for a few hours so that children have a chance to play in the street safely. She started it in her own street, Beechwood Road, and the idea caught on. And there are now street play schemes all over the city. So
what's the answer? Well done, excellent. He's just introducing and all that. Very good, let's go on.
Do you actually start the scheme, Alice?
Well, I first had the idea when my oldest child was still a toddler. So that's about 6 years ago now. But it took at least 2 years of campaigning before we were actually able to make it happen. So the scheme's been up and running for 3 years now.
Right, 2 years to execute, and scheme has been up and running for 3 years now. So the answer is, first she said 6 years, then she talked about 2 years, but actually the scheme took place, she said it's been up and running for 3 years now. That's right. Question number 12. How often is Beechwood Road closed for traffic now? Now listen, you should encircle the word now. In the audio, they will say initially we started with, right? And then they say we have plans to do that in the future. Even what they say about past, that is a trap. What they say about future, that is a trap. If they say we considered blocking the street twice a week, but actually we were not allowed by the city council to do so, so now we do it once a week, or anything like that. So listen actively so that you could differentiate what is the right answer from the wrong answer. How often is Beechwood Road closed to traffic now? The word now is very powerful here. A, once a week. B, Saturday and Sundays. C, once a month. And they will speak about all three options, but you will focus option with now. Let's start.
We'd love to be able to close our road for longer, for the whole weekend, from Saturday morning until Sunday evening, for example. At the moment, it's just once a week. But when we started, it was only once a month. But we're working on it.
At the moment, it's once a week only. When we started, it was once a month. That is a trap. That's not the right answer. So the right answer is A. On your answer sheet, you will write A. Okay? Don't write once a week. Just A. Okay? Let's go on. Who is responsible for closing the road? A, council office. B, police. C, local wardens. Right? Now they will speak about all three options, but you have to see who is responsible for closing the road. Is that the wardens, the police, or a council official?
So what actually happens when Beechwood Road is closed?
We have volunteer wardens, mostly parents, but some elderly residents too, who block off our road at either end. The council have provided special signs, but there's always a volunteer there to explain what's happening to any motorists. Generally, they're fine about it, We've only had to get the police involved once or twice.
So, A, C, well done. C, A is council official. They only provide them signs and all that. And police, she said only once or twice we had to involve the police, otherwise local wardens. And for local, she used the word parents and things like that, right? So the right answer is C. In multiple choice, you will be successful if you locate the wrong answers, right? If you locate wrong answers, automatically you will find the right answers. What we do, we just look for the right answer, any similar word, and we say, yeah, that's the right answer. Just focus wrong answers. When you learn to eliminate the wrong answers, you'll find the right answer. Question number 14. Residents who want to use their cars. Now, what is about them? Residents who want to use their cars have to park in another street. Okay, if they want to use their cars, they have to park in another street, must drive very slowly. C, need permission from a warden. Okay, now out of 3, 1 is the right answer and other 2 are traps. Residents who want to use their car. Now, if they block my street and I want to use my car, imagine my street is blocked, your street is blocked from both ends, and they have blocked it and you want to use your car. Now, what are the options? You have to park your car in another street, must drive slowly, or need permission from a warden. Let's go on.
Now, I should explain that the road isn't completely closed to cars, but only residents' cars are allowed. If people really need to get in or out of Beechwood Road, it's not a problem as long as they drive at under 20 kilometres per hour. But most people just decide not to use their cars during this time, or they park in another street. The wardens are only there to stop through traffic.
So, under 20 kilometers per hour. What is that? Must drive very slowly. Option B. Clear? Okay, let's go on. Question number 15. Alice says that street play schemes are most needed in. In means areas, right? They have mentioned A, wealthy areas, where there are, like, you know, here in Pakistan called DHA, model town, wealthy areas. B, quiet suburban areas. Quiet means there is no noise, and suburban areas means the areas that surround the city. Suburban areas, right? And C, areas with heavy traffic. So schemes are most needed in which areas? That's what we got to see.
So, can anyone apply to get involved in street play?
Absolutely. We want to include all kids in the city, especially those who live on busy roads. It's here that demand is greatest. Obviously, there isn't such demand in wealthier areas where the children have access to parks or large gardens, or in the suburbs where there are usually more places for children to play outside.
C. And then she spoke about A. She said there is no requirement of that. In wealthy areas, they have their parks. B, quiet suburban areas, they don't need that. It's actually areas with heavy traffic. So C will be the right answer. Question number 16. What has been the reaction of residents? I will also share this audio in the group. Okay, Yasin, book 15, test 3. Yeah. Full audio, then you can repeat this test at home. Okay, question number 16. What has been the reaction of residents who are not parents? Something like that, okay? What has been the reaction of residents who are not parents, who don't have kids to play in the street? A, many of them were very unhappy at first. Underline unhappy at first, and many. B, they like seeing children play in the street. Like seeing children or play in the street. C, they are surprised by the lack of noise. Surprised by lack of noise. So, residents who are not parents, what is their reaction? Please follow.
I'd recommend that anyone listening who likes the idea should just give it a go. We've been surprised by the positive reaction of residents all over the city, And that's not just parents. There are always a few who complain, but they're a tiny minority. On the whole, everyone is very supportive and say they're very happy to see children out on the street, even if it does get quite noisy.
Even if it does get quite noisy. So, lack of noise is wrong, right? Many of them were unhappy. She said a tiny, right? So, it's not many of them. Option B, they like seeing children play in the street. B is the right answer. Okay, let's go on. Now, double the trouble, huh? Questions 17 and 18. Multiple choice, where out of 5 you have to select 2 options, right? Over here, it is very essential to read and understand the question. Please follow that. Which 2 benefits for children does Alice think are the most important? 2 most important benefits according to Alice. Whatever is according to someone else, that's not the answer. According to Alice, she will say according to me. As far as I'm concerned, I think, I believe, whatever she says, according to her. Okay, so 2 benefits. A, and you can see the word increased and opportunity is being repeated. So just ignore that. Physical activity. A is physical activity. B is sense of independence. C is opportunity or to learn new games. D is part of community. And E is opportunity to make new friends or make new friends. So now you can just focus physical activity, sense of independence, learn new games, part of community, and make new friends, right? I play the audio, and again, please, the focus is according to Alice, what are the 2 most important, right? Let's see.
There have been so many benefits of street play for the kids. Parents really like the fact that the kids are getting fresh air instead of sitting staring at a computer screen, even if they're not doing anything particularly energetic. And of course, it's great that kids can play with their friends outside without being supervised by their parents. But for me, the biggest advantage is that kids develop confidence in themselves to be outside without their parents. The other really fantastic thing is that children get to know the adults in the street. It's like having a big extended family.
It certainly does have a lot of benefit.
Big extended family. Yeah, that's part of community. Option D. And B is sense of independence, playing without their parents, on their own. And she said according to me, right? To me or whatever she said. And then after that what she spoke, that is the answer. I play this again, right? I can see question marks on some faces. So I'll play this again.
There have been so many benefits.
Please focus option B and D as they are the right answers and other options are wrong.
There have been so many benefits of street play for the kids. Parents really like the fact that the kids are getting fresh air instead of sitting staring at a computer screen, even if they're not doing anything particularly energetic.
Not doing anything particularly energetic, so physical activity, no. Right? Yeah, it's not the answer.
And of course, it's great that kids can play with their friends outside without being supervised by their parents. But for me, the biggest advantage is that kids develop confidence in themselves to be outside without their parents.
To me, and kids develop confidence to be outside without their parents, that is B, sense of independence. Now,
the other really fantastic thing is that children get to know the adults in the street. It's like having a big extended family.
Having a big extended family means sense of community or part of a community, right? Okay, let's move on. Questions 19 and 20. Which 2 results? Question is very important. Don't ignore it. If you only read the options, useless. Question. Which 2 results of the King Street experiment surprised Alice? Now, wherever she used the word surprised me, I was amazed, I was surprised to know or to learn, that will be the answer. where she speaks without surprise, that will be the trap. What are the options? More shoppers. Shoppers means buyers, people who buy things. B, improved safety. C, less air pollution. D, more relaxed atmosphere. E, less noise pollution. So 5 things, her reaction to 2 things would be surprising and her reaction to 3 things would be normal, right? Let's see.
I want to move on now and ask you about a related project in King Street.
Right. Well, this was an experiment I was involved in, where local residents decided to try and reduce the traffic along King Street, which is the busiest main road in our area, by persuading people not to use their cars for one day. We thought about making people pay more for parking, but we decided that would be really unpopular. So instead we just stopped people from parking on King Street, but left the other car parks open. It was surprising how much of a difference all this made. As we'd predicted, air quality was significantly better. But what I hadn't expected was how much quieter it would be, even with the buses still running. Of course, everyone said they felt safer, but we were actually amazed that sales in the shops went up considerably that day. We thought there'd be fewer people out shopping, not more.
That's really interesting. So the fact that there's...
So, okay, the right answer is A, more shoppers, and E, less noise pollution. I'm going to play the audio again, don't worry. Improved safety, she didn't speak about it in an amazement or a surprise, right? Then less air pollution, she didn't speak about it, that it was surprising, and more relaxed atmosphere. I play the audio again, don't worry.
I want to move on now and ask you about a related project in King Street.
Right. Well, this was an experiment I was involved in, where local residents decided to try and reduce the traffic along King Street, which is the busiest main road in our area, by persuading people not to use their cars for one day.
You should focus the result. So far, she's just describing what it was, not the result. Let's go on.
We thought about making people pay more for parking, but we decided that would be really unpopular. So instead, we just stopped people from parking on King Street, but left the other car parks open. It was surprising how much of a difference all this made.
Now listen carefully. It was surprising how much difference all this made. Now,
we predicted, air quality was significantly better.
Okay, air quality was significantly better. Less air pollution, you might think, but actually she did not speak about it in a surprising way. Right? Let's go on. Air quality better.
What I hadn't expected was how much quieter it would be, even with the
What I hadn't expected. Now this is surprising. How much quieter it would be. Less noise pollution, E. When you don't expect something and that happens, we call it surprise. That's a surprise. Your birthday, you're expecting gifts. No one gives you a gift. Surprise. Okay. So less noise pollution. Is that clear? Now let's go on. Another thing surprising.
It's still running. Of course, everyone said they felt safer, but we were actually
Of course, everyone said that we felt safer, but not surprising. Improved safety. Everyone said that. Of course, everyone said that, but that's not surprising because the question is 2 results, experiments surprised Alice. Now,
is that sales in the shops went up considerably that day. We thought there'd be fewer people out shopping, not more.
That's really interesting.
Sales went up that day. Now I play all the audio, listen to it and make sure A and E are the right answers.
I want to move on now and ask you about a related project in King Street.
Right. Well, this was an experiment I was involved in, where local residents decided to try and reduce the traffic along King Street, which is the busiest main road in our area, by persuading people not to use their cars for one day. We thought about making people pay more for parking, but we decided that would be really unpopular. So instead, we just stopped people from parking on King Street, but left the other car parks open. It was surprising how much of a difference all this made. As we'd predicted, air quality was significantly better. But what I hadn't expected was how much quieter it would be, even with the buses still running. Of course, everyone said they felt safer, but we were actually amazed that sales in the shops went up considerably that day. We thought there'd be fewer people out shopping, not more.
That's really interesting. So the fact that
Sales in the shop went up, so it's A and E. And what she said about this less air pollution, as we predicted. Yeah. So when you predict something, that is not surprise. All right.